Emily Dickinson was a nihilist. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will take place in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, and number two being the Emily Dickinson playlist here on the channel. The poem in question today is appearing on the channel for the very first time. It is known as Should You But Fail at Sea, and it reads as such. Should you but fail at sea inside of me, or doomed lie next sun to die, or rap at paradise unheard, I'd harass God until he let you in. Now, let's talk a little bit about what this poem is before talking, or what this poem says before talking about what this poem is. The poem is saying, should you fail at sea, failing at sea is, especially back in the days of Emily Dickinson, much more prevalent than it is today, but it was something that was very foreboding, going to sea. It was a great, mysterious journey. It was not what it is today, and even today, kind of risky. Or doomed lie next sun to die. We're talking here about wet or dry. Whether you're about to bake in the sun or whether you're about to drown at sea. Either way, I would vouch for you. I would harass God until he let you in. Now, that's certainly more abrasive than simply saying I would vouch for you, but there's a couple things worth talking about in this portion of the poem too. Now, we have whether you were to fail this way or that way, assuming that the you in question fails at some point. Now, obviously, the you in question fails at some point, but here's something interesting. The you in question will fail. The I in question supposedly already has. The I in question is already beyond the grave. Is it not? Are they not? The I in question is never saying, hey, we will take care of each other. If I go first, I will make sure you get in. If I get to the kingdom of heaven first, I will make sure you get in. And even if that was the case, that the speaker was saying this preemptively, right? Saying this before the speaker had died, before the speaker had passed, before the speaker was in fact in paradise. If that was the case and the speaker was speaking from that vantage point, why would the speaker assume, we will say she for the sake of ease, why would the speaker assume she was going to heaven, but there's some question whether or not the you will? And then, so we have the speaker who is apparently already dead, apparently already in paradise, speaking to the you in question. This is maybe some sort of dream. The speaker is appearing to the you in question as an apparition and says, look, however it is that you go, baby, I'll get you in. The idea of devotion here, the idea of devotion even after life here, it makes you wonder if this is a poem about married till death do us part. But even then, in the ideas of many incarnations of Abrahamic religions, the marriage continues in the afterlife. But here's the big thing to me about this poem. It's that last couplet. Of course it's that last couplet, right? But I don't think that last couplet gets the sort of impact that it should if you're not granting the rest of this poem its due diligence. What that last couplet suggests is that the speaker's allegiance lies to you, not to God. The speaker's allegiance lies to you because the speaker is saying, look, maybe God gets this wrong. Maybe you show up at the pearly gates and God says, "Oh, you think we didn't see that? But me, well, I would make sure that everything went all right. I would make sure you got in regardless." But it's also undermining the authority of God. Emily Dickinson, as the speaker here, is saying, hey, there's leeway to be had. Hey, there's some wiggle room here. All I've got to do is convince God, yeah, let him in. That's all I've got to do. That can't be that hard. I'd just nag. I'd harass him. I'd nag him. I'd just tug on his robe. Hey, 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 hey. These ideas may seem out there today. The idea that we have of God as an individual God, a God of the individual, not the idea of God not just as monotheistic, but the idea of God as the God of you and the God of me. The world in which Emily Dickinson found herself, no, man. No, 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 no. The world in which Emily Dickinson found herself, the ideas of right, wrong, and unfortunate were still much bigger deals in day-to-day life. The world in which Emily Dickinson found herself, to win or to lose, was to be on the side of God or not. I think today's popular culture really tears those things apart, really separates those things. Many people, I think, probably have more of a deistic version of God in their head that, hey, why does Jesus care if you scored the touchdown, pal? But at the same time, there's this great chasm between Jesus doesn't care if you scored the touchdown, pal, and God is my God. We have a relationship. The world in which Emily Dickinson found herself, these things were not the same. The world in which Emily Dickinson found herself, there's a great story about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was at church during the Civil War, and the pastor, preacher, I don't know the sect or denomination, came up to him after the service and said, you know, all this stuff going on, I hope God is on our side. And Abraham Lincoln said, no, I hope we are on his. But even then, now that's a little bit more towards my end of the current day argument that God could be on our side or your side, but Abraham Lincoln with the rare wisdom of saying, I hope we are on his. Even then, the sentiment was we. The sentiment was not necessarily I. The sentiment was not that God would be on my side. God would be siding with me. So, in the day and age of Emily Dickinson, this line, "Oh, I just harassed God until he let you in," that would have been a massively controversial line at the time. But it's also the speaker here simply refusing to accept authority. Look, if God's there and God is a reasonable being, God can be reasoned with. This is, in my opinion, Emily Dickinson accepting, if Emily Dickinson did accept God, it's Emily Dickinson accepting God as a reasonable being and stating God can be won over. The idea of not even we don't know Emily Dickinson's feelings on God. Not really. We have her poems through 40 some odd years. Probably her feelings on God changed through that time. But the unwillingness to accept even God as an authority really tells you all you need to know about the volumes of originality that you find in Emily Dickinson's poetry. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.